If you want to watch every episode of the Stop and Go F1 Retro Review of 1981 right now, you can do so by becoming a Mansell Mustache member. Click the link in the description below. Shaking Stevens is #1 with Green Door. Arthur is still the biggest film in the world, whatever that is. And the wedding of Prince Charles and Princess Diana has just happened. Surely a marriage that will last forever. But more importantly, it's time for the German Grand Prix of 1981! Onto the grid, Prost has taken his first ever pole position with René Arnoux alongside. The second row is all Williams with championship leader Carlos Reutemann in front of world champion Alan Jones. And as we line up on the grid, we see an interesting use of the grid box from Carlos Reutemann.
It's very warm, it's dull overhead. And it's go. Now, are the turbos going to get away quickly or slowly? They're getting away well, but Reutemann is already through into second place. Pironi is in fourth place behind René Arnoux. And the race leader with 45 laps to go as they go up to the first chicane on the first lap is the Frenchman Alain Prost, followed by Reutemann. In third place Pironi, and Arnoux is right with him, and last is the arrows of Siegfried Sturr.
Now, last time out we saw René Arnoux start from pole position, but had to retire from the race. Now here, he is starting on the front row yet again. Let's go check in on him and see how he's doing.
Championship, and it's Arnoux into the pits already. At this stage of the race, and he's got a puncture. Look, his right rear tyre, his offside rear tyre is flapping on the wheel. He's got a puncture already. Somebody must have hit him in the early stages, and he gestures at the back of his car to warn his pit mechanics. Although they're all ready. There's Gerard Larousse with the headphones on, the team manager leaning over, talking to René Arnoux. And I noticed that in spite of the fact that he's only done one lap, 4.2 miles, they're changing all four wheels and tyres on the Renault. That's a normal precaution, but it's hardly necessary after one lap.
Someone else who didn't have much luck last time out was Didier Pironi, whose engine blew up. Let's go check in on him now and see how he's doing.
That's Pironi's car. Didier Pironi in the turbocharged Ferrari. It looks as though he's burst a turbo, as he has done in previous Grand Prix. The Ferraris are very good, but they still haven't got them right, and it's still Alain Prost leading on lap 2.
And now someone else who had a DNF last time was Nelson Piquet, but he went on to have a lovely time. Let's see if the German Grand Prix will treat him just as well.
There's Alan Jones, and Piquet pulling out of Lafitte's slipstream and passing him. Nelson Piquet, the Brazilian, is obviously recovered from the minor injuries he had in that very nasty crash in the British Grand Prix when he went off at Beckett's corner and was temporarily trapped in his car. And Nelson Piquet goes up to fourth place ahead of Jacques Lafitte. Down to fifth goes Lafitte.
Whilst we're listing people who didn't have a good time, it was basically everyone apart from John Watson. But one of the people who didn't have a good time was Alan Jones. The reigning world champion has not had 1981 go the way he thought it would, scoring points just once in the last 5 races. But today he's looking very quick and has caught the back of his teammate Carlos Reutemann.
Leads over the cars, and Jones is taking Reutemann. Jones fairly bundles his way past Reutemann as they go into the chicane. So, up into second position, it's still Williams' cars, second and third, but different drivers. Alan Jones, the world champion, passes the man who's leading the championship this year, Carlos Reutemann, up into second place.
And whilst I'm still looking at my list of people who had a bad time in Silverstone, it's time to mention the amazing Andrea de Cesaris. Not his fault last time out, he's hoping to redeem himself here in Germany.
The amazing Andrea de Cesaris.
And hello, that's de Cesaris. Andrea de Cesaris, who does this so often. The young Italian, very, very excitable. And he's not at all popular in the Marlboro team.
the amazing Andrea de Cesaris.
Meanwhile, back to the front, Alan Jones has caught the back of race leader Alain Prost.
And Alan Jones now, he's determined to take the lead. He's right up with Prost into the chicane, and Alain Prost either gives it a touch of the right boot or, and Piquet is closing up. It's getting very close indeed, but it's obvious that something's wrong with Carlos Reutemann, and Jones is trying. My goodness, Alan Jones has really got the bit between his teeth as he challenges Alain Prost, again coming into the stadium, and he's right through. He's going to take the lead on the inside. He's got the inside line, and Alan Jones must get through here. But Prost is holding on, and what a super. Can you hear the crowd roar in the background? As Alain Prost, with a masterly bit of driving, refuses to give way to the far more experienced Alan Jones, who is driving in his 91st Grand Prix, whereas Alain Prost is only in his 21st Grand Prix.
But now it's time for our commentary highlight of the week.
And Giacomelli must be in trouble, because to be passed by Siegfried Stohr, you have to be in trouble.
But now, by some miracle, Reutemann, who was struggling, has now come into the contention for the win of this race in a lovely freeway battle. It's Alain, and Carlos. But the battle for the lead might be ever so slightly interrupted here, because we're going to have an incredibly awkward moment as Alain Prost is about to lap his Renault teammate René Arnoux.
Now Alan Jones trying, and he's going to take Prost. No, he's not. That was the camera lens that fooled me. The cameraman shortened focus, and through goes Prost. And now Prost, Jones and Reutemann are going to have the same sort of problem as they had with Marc Surer, because they're closing up to René Arnoux, and they've got to get past cleanly. But René Arnoux is a very experienced man. He'll see them coming up in the mirrors, and dare I say it, he will probably let his teammate Alain Prost through, and then surreptitiously perhaps move over just that 6 inches or so that he needs to make it extra difficult for Alan Jones to get through. And they're coming up to the stadium now through the chicane. That's the second chicane. Now the long drag down to the stadium at 160 miles an hour here in top gear. Villeneuve back into the race. And now it's Arnoux, Prost, Jones trying as they come into the stadium. Reutemann behind them, but still Arnoux has unlapped, and now Prost is going through, and Jones goes straight through the middle. Unbelievable. Well, that was fantastic. And look at the way he's pulling away, and hear the crowd roar in the background. Alan Jones is right back on top of his brilliant form, and it will be a very, very, very angry Alain Prost. Let's look at it again. Arnoux moves over, Prost takes him, and Jones takes both of them. Well, if I ever see a bit of motor racing like that again, I will be a very happy man. That was one of the finest passing manoeuvres I've ever seen. And just look at the way Alan Jones is now streaking away.
And after that incredible move, Piquet is starting to pick up his pace again and challenge the top three.
There is Slim Borgood in the yellow ATS. And now Piquet is proving me wrong, because he's right up with it. He's taking, is he? He is. He's going through. Nelson Piquet proves me wrong. I said he couldn't do anything about Carlos Reutemann, and he's through. Nelson Piquet up into third position.
Reutemann is having one of the strangest races ever here. Started very quick, then lost all pace, gained pace again and challenged for the lead, and is now losing pace. Let's go see on him right now and see where he is.
And that's Reutemann. He's coasting. Look at the smoke coming out of his engine. Is Carlos Reutemann's race run? It's certainly run from the point of view of doing well. It's run altogether. And so I suspect is his engine. Well, bitter, bitter luck. But in this unpredictable thing that is called Formula One World Championship Grand Prix motor racing, Carlos Reutemann has had more than his share of good luck this year, because in 18 races this is only his second retirement.
And that is a huge shame for Reutemann there, the championship leader. But I'm hearing something in my ear here. We must go live to Murray Walker, who has heard a noise.
Listen! Listen to that! You heard it, I heard it. I hear Alan Jones's engine stuttering. I trust I'm not imagining things. I've said things like that before and been proved wrong. But I distinctly saw Alan Jones's head jerk. I heard his engine stutter. And that means that something is happening to interrupt the flow of petrol through to the fuel injectors. Power is being lost. Now let's keep a very, very careful eye, not just on number 5, Nelson Piquet, but on Alan Jones, number 1, the race leader.
Well, that is certainly something we'll have to keep an ear out for, Murray. Thank you for that. But let's talk about Alain Prost. Led the race at the start, obviously does not have the pace of some of the other cars, but thanks to some fantastic defensive driving, was able to keep Alan Jones behind for a short period of time. But Alan Jones now with a huge lead over Alain Prost. I said the wrong Alans for each Alan there, but go with it. Anyway, Prost not having the pace of the lead cars this weekend, and now Nelson Piquet is right behind him.
There's Prost. The gap between Jones and Prost is 8.8 seconds, but look at Piquet. He's right up with Alain Prost, so Nelson Piquet has worked wonders with the Brabham, or is the Renault in trouble? And Piquet's taking second. Nelson Piquet takes Alain Prost in second place. Oh dear, poor Alain. It is not his day. First of all, he loses first place to Jones. Now he loses second place to Prost. Does that mean that the Renault is in trouble?
So, Piquet now in second place and chasing down Alan Jones. But with a potential issue for Jones, this may be easier than Piquet first thought.
The crowd roars because they sent another change. Alan Jones he must be in trouble. And he's waving his hand. Alan Jones waves at his pits and Piquet's taking the lead. The third new leader. First of all, it was Prost. Then it was Jones. Now it's Alan Jones. Now, I'm sorry, it's Piquet. And Borgood, Alan Jones, of course, in second position. And Slim Borgood off the circuit.
And after a fantastic weekend, it looks to all be falling apart for Alan Jones.
This is sensational because there's only a couple of laps to go and Alan Jones has decided that he's got to come into the pits. Now, it can't be for tyres. He locked up his wheels. Alan Chalice, the mechanic, the head mechanic, the burly man at the back of the car, speaks to Alan Jones. Off comes the engine cover. And it's the black box they're ferreting about with the transistor box. It's something to do with ignition then. They're changing the black box at the rear of the engine of the Williams, and that's Alan Jones's trouble. And meantime, he's now right out of the points because Lafitte has gone by as Alan Jones sits impassively there. And I noticed that Harold Ertl is not trying to interview him, because he'd get a very short answer from Alan Jones if he did. But Alan Jones pointing at at the spectators, he's saying, you get out of the way, because I'm coming out there at about 100 miles an hour, and out he goes. Alan Jones rejoins the race, but he's out of the points because Lafitte has gone up into third position. Ribback has gone up. Eddie Cheever has gone up. And so, Alan Jones right down, out of contention as Piquet goes through. He's lapped him. Only 2 laps to go for Nelson Piquet as Alan Jones with Alain Prost behind him. He's about to be lapped by Alain Prost. And you can see that Jones is going very, very slowly indeed, and I have a nasty suspicion that Jones is not going to run the full distance of the German Grand Prix.
And as we cross the line, it's Piquet who wins and cuts Carlos Reutemann's championship lead to just 8 points. Prost is second, with Lafitte in third in both the race and now the championship, as he has leapfrogged Jones. Hector Raback is fourth, Eddie Cheever fifth, John Watson takes the last points place, and Alan Jones has to settle for 11th. So there you go, that is the German Grand Prix. We'll see you next time in Austria.